Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Sarah and today we're going to speak about truth. So in today's video I want to talk about what is God? Like what does it mean when we refer to God? Because this is a very complex world. I know I spoke about duality and made it very simple in my last video, but if you actually look at the world, it's very complex. We have worlds within worlds within worlds. So it's good to clarify energetically what we mean by God. Okay? So the Google definition of God is a supernatural being with divine, sacred, and supreme powers. So as you can see, very general, right? As long as the entity is more advanced than us, the entity will seem to be a supernatural beings with powers, right? So I agree that there's multiple gods. For sure, like in the Greek times, there was a god of water, god of wind, god of fire, god of this, god of that, god of love, there was a god for everything, which makes sense because it's a very complex world. It's hard to have just one person managing the whole thing, right? However, as above, so below, as above, right? In today's world, how does management work? It's not hierarchy. Hierarchy doesn't work, right? But we need something that holds everything together, just like in a company. I've worked in so many companies, and it doesn't matter what the structure was. If we call them VPs or if we just call them managers, senior vice president, it doesn't matter the titles because hierarchy doesn't work. You have a boss, right? A top guy for each department or top girl. You have a top person for each department, right? Which is what you need because you can't do marketing and finance and accounting and management and human resource. You can't do it all. It's impossible. This is why we have multiple people working together as a organism. Right? You need something to hold everything together. You need something to hold marketing with human resource together, to hold, finance and accounting together. What is that? It's the vision. And you normally have a president that has and holds the vision. So that's why the hierarchy doesn't matter, but you have one God for each category segment. And then you have, I like to call him the Most High. I've seen some of my sisters pulling tarot cards, calling him the Most High. And I like that because to me, God is the Most High, right? It's not a pyramid. It's simply one entity holding everything together, entity, source, light, call it whatever you want. We are not in any position to say this is what God is. Right? Unless you've been on the other side of the veil and, seen it for yourself, nobody can claim what God is. I'm just speaking energetically. So for every company for 20 years, we've always needed a president. We not necessarily needed a CEO. We didn't necessarily need a COO, CIO, CTO. We didn't need those, but we definitely always needed a president. You need someone with the vision, right? That's the president's gift. And that's all he can do or she can do, right? The president is nobody without the VP of marketing and without the VP of human resource and the VP of accounting reporting to him on a weekly, monthly basis. So again, president's nothing without the people and the people is nothing without the president. Okay, really important. This is why unity, one whole, working as a larger organism. That's how we got to see it. The hierarchy has messed everything up. The hierarchy says the president's more important than, like, say, the human resource person, which is not necessarily true. The president's crucial. We can technically get rid of human resource and still operate, right? But it's not a question of more important because the day that comes where your employee sues you, trust me, you're going to need human resource. Nothing you can do without human resources help, right? So that's an obstacle you'll never be able to go over unless you get a consultant and dabble into human resource to see what went wrong. So the way companies work is a great example to see how above works. You need one person with a vision that holds all the departments together, and that's how we should see the Most High, the ultimate God, because there's many gods. There are many gods, and there's many worlds within worlds. Just look at it as humans and ants, right? Ants have their own world. They're underground, they have their own system, their own family, they have their own world, right? It has nothing to do with our world, completely separate, right? They're in their world, we're in our world, but we're both living on the same planet. So as you can see, this is a perfect example of multiverse. It's very hard to wrap your head around what a multiverse is, but don't just look at it matter. Like, true, there's waves of every single possibility out there for you to grab, right? If consciousness wants to go that way, the possibility of matter will open that way, right? You're trailblazing that way, and therefore matter has to come with you that way. So all the possibilities of matter are out there in a wave form for you to collapse and grab, right? So the Most High keeps everything together, which we call the source, and has subdivisions of category managing space. So if you look at it like energetically like that, it makes sense. Now we have the lower forms as well, right? Higher dimensions, which is supernatural gods. And then we have the lower forms, which is, the reptilians and the archons. There's 17 different types of archons, by the way. It's good for people to learn them so you see how they attach. One of them is in between breaths. It attaches themselves to you in between breaths. And I notice I do that a lot. Like, I'll breathe, but sometimes I notice I'm not breathing. And then I got to remind myself, oh, breathe, So that's for sure an archon that I got rid of over the weekend. I was like, okay, I got to pay attention to my breathing, because sometimes I do. I don't need to breathe all the time. Sometimes I can go, a few seconds without breathing. I never saw it as a problem. So it is what it is. Now I got to exhale and force myself, because I'm like, oh, that's an archon. So, right, we're always learning, always learning. So another video that I saw that was really important is the Epic of Gilgamesh. So the Epic of Gilgamesh is a great example of what we believe a god is, right? You have a giant, he was half god, half human, a supernatural being that's controlling the population, managing the population. Now, to me, that makes sense, because a leader should be godlike. A leader should be supernatural. A leader shouldn't, fall for the same things as everybody else, right? A leader should be more enlightened as everybody else, so like that they can lead, right? They should see a vision. Leaders should have visions. How about that? If a leader doesn't have a vision, he's not a leader, right? It's just the in-between. He's like a manager, right? We manage day by day, making sure we don't know where we're going, but we're making sure that day by day, everything goes well. That's a manager. That's not president. That's not a visionary, right? So in the Epic of Gilgamesh, you had the visionary, the god. He just became too arrogant, too greedy, and he started, taking the wives and taking things for himself. So the lords created another monster, like a half wolf, half demon, whatever, half man. And they ended up fighting, that wolf fought with the Epic of Gilgamesh guy, and they became friends. He was like, oh, another freak like me, and they became friends, and that's a whole story, right? So when you look at why did we become what we've become? Now, there's a lot of people that say our gods are Anunnaki, and it's possible, because our God should be whoever is immediately above us, like whoever created us, right? Someone has created the Anunnakis, and the Anunnakis has created us. So you see, there's the Most High, and then there's multiple gods in between. This world is so complex that you cannot have one God doing everything. So I believe in multiple gods, but again, I believe in the Most High. There's one, the Most High, overseeing it all, holding the whole universe together, right? And also making sure that harmony is what we're all going towards. The harmony is the wave of evolution. It's all taking us towards harmony. We just have to go through a lot of obstacles. And I try not to mention my sisters and brothers' names, but I know one of my sisters got flagged. And look at it this way. We're all working towards harmony, right? I've been flagged for 5 years. They've harassed me for 5 years now. They've blocked all my opportunities for 5 years. But as you can see, the light always wins, right? They can block, they can block, they can block, but eventually that energy is going to get tired, right? Because it cannot block the light. You can only create shade for so long. So not to worry about to the ones that are getting flagged, because look at it. I'll try not to mention anybody. I know I'm doing my best. I have a hard time living in secrecy. So I'm going to try not to mention anybody. I don't want anyone getting flagged on my account. But again, it's just temporary. Keep going, and you're gonna see now that they found you, they're gonna flag you, they're gonna bother you, and then it's gonna drop off. So basically, that's what it was. It was the gods leading humanity, right? Before the Anunnakis, apparently, there was nothing. It was like the god of mountain, the god of water, the god of wind. It was 5D. It was a 5D planet. But there was nothing going on. It was just 5D and it was harmonious. Not a lot of action, right? So then the Anunnakis came and they're like, you know what? There's gold, or whatever reason. It doesn't matter if it was for experimentation reason, if it was for gold. It doesn't matter why they were here. The important part is that the Sumerian tablets say that they came from the heavens and gave us agriculture and canals for the water, and they gave us music, makeup, like, they advanced civilization. And I believe in that. Now, if it's horrible or if it's not horrible, it doesn't matter, because they helped with evolution. They created humans 2.0, 3.0, 4.0, And if you look at it like this, out of all the aliens, we're by far the best looking ones, right? If you have a avatar, right, you're playing a Nintendo game and you got to pick an avatar for yourself, wouldn't you pick yours like humans? I would. I wouldn't pick grays. I wouldn't pick reptilians. Hey, I wouldn't even pick Nordics. I don't relate to Nordics. I don't look like them. I'm not tall like them, right? So I actually find humans beautiful. They're all full of colors, full of different shapes, size. You can find humans that look like grays, and you can find humans that look like Nordics. So I believe humans are a beautiful melting pot. So it doesn't matter why we got to here, right? All the abuse and all the horrific things that led us here. Don't look at it that. Look at it, the mutation that we have become, the entity that we have turned into through evolution is so advanced, so beautiful, and we are godlike. We are what the Anunnakis took from the previous god, the gods of the 5D world, right? It's like the young gods saying, you old gods are old, we want action. So they came in, took the old gods with the land, and created a few different versions. And if you ask me, they did a great job, other than in the amnesia part. But, we forgot where we come from, but other than the amnesia part, they did a pretty good job. Epstein couldn't do it. Look at Britney Spears. She's malfunctioning. So a god is someone who creates their own world, right? So we're all gods. We're all here creating our own world. And it's weird to say, but it's true, because look at it this way. When you're first born, you have no control, okay? This is why you don't believe you're a god. You have family, you have friends, you have the world. It is very difficult when you're born. I remember when I was born, I couldn't wait to have my sovereignty, right? I was tired of going to school. I was tired of listening to family. I was tired of being a woman amongst all men, I was tired of serving. I was tired of doing what I was supposed to do or told to do, right? But once you're done with school, either you drop out or you graduate, you're on your own, 100%. It's you and your traumatism, but it doesn't matter. It's still you on your own. You have like no excuse. If you end up going to jail, that's the world you created, right? It's the jail. So once you're done with school, you have no excuses. Even if you have a crappy job, you have no excuse. You can create a wonderful world at home. Because the 9 to 5 jobs, they only pay your bills. Like every time I had a 9 to 5, I never took it seriously. I was always there. Okay, I'm going to do my job. I'm going to meet people, have a great time, cash out and go home. That's how I always saw it. So this is why it never bothered me to work, because I saw the work as fuel for my creation. And the world I've created is wonderful. I love the world I live in today. I love my house. I love my garden. I've never loved gardening so much. Before I never liked it this much, but now I'm learning so much, learning in a section that I never dabbled in before. So as you can see, you create your own world, but it has to start at home. You got to master the home. It's like the trunk of the tree, right? If the trunk of the tree is strong, it can hold up anything. But if it's weak, forget about it, right? So you practice with creating your world at home, right? Once you've mastered that, then you move on to creating your world professionally. Once you master that, then you create your world community. And then you go bigger and bigger and bigger, right? But the world starts small. This is why the people that have horrible worlds in their private life, they can't go far in life. They cannot go as far as their evolution would normally allow them, because now they have an obstacle. Now that their trunk is bad, they have to keep putting support. It doesn't work. It's a lot of wasted time. You can't focus on the branches going towards the sun when you're constantly playing with the trunk. Okay, so it's really important for people to understand we're all made in the image of gods, but the Anunnakis left. So it's like, why are we imitating reptilians? It makes no sense. We don't have a Gilgamesh to be like, wow, this is what you could be if you keep going, right? They killed off all the giants. They killed off all the gods. They even killed off Kobe. That guy was a supernatural being, in my opinion. He definitely had supernatural gifts, very disciplined, great family guy, and they killed him off. So you see, there's no more examples. We have no more Gilgameshes. We all have reptilians. We have really bad examples. And trust me, nobody wants to be a reptilian. Nobody wants to be an archon, right? So again, we're made in the images of God. We're not made in the image of reptilians. We're not made in the image of archons. We're made in the images of Anunnakis, which is a much, much more advanced being than us. We have to admit that much, right? So when you see a being that's more advanced than you, and you hang out with those beings, you become more advanced. This is why I love tarot card readers. Hey, listen, there's some tarot card readers out there. They're putting 2 hours of material every day. They're reading in the morning and one at night. They have so much information to give out. But it's not podcast. It's not human talking to human. Listen, human talking to human is limited. It's one person's experience talking to another person's experience. This is why, to me, podcasts, I'm done with it. So much podcasts you can listen to. Hey, listen, if you've listened to podcasts for 20 years, it's like it's time to grow, What's the next level? It's not person to person. The next level is person to God. This is why now I only listen to tarot readers and downloaders. There's one guy, I listen to him. He has a son, and I'm not going to give his name because I definitely want to donate to his channel when I make money. But he's incredible, and he was making videos a year ago. I'm watching his videos today, but he was making these videos a year ago. That means he was downloading this information a year ago. That's how much advanced he is, right? So when you speak to gods or when you're connected to gods, you're not a crazy person. You're not talking to yourself. You're talking to an entity that's more advanced than you. That means you've surpassed the humans. You're not learning anything from humans anymore, and now you've gone to the supernatural. So this is why I love tarot card readers. I think they're so advanced in their channel. This is why that's all booming, because no matter what they talk about, people are interested because it all comes from the gods. So again, we're made in the images of God. We're all gods. We all have our own creation. We're just very disturbed, and this is why our creation is not coming out very well. But if you focus on yourself inward, your creation on the outside will be impeccable. You'll be a godlike as well. You'll go far beyond what you are, right? This is the whole point, is to extend far beyond what you are. If all you're going to do is cook, clean, cook, clean, cook, clean your entire life, that's okay. But you could have gone further than that, So again, each person is responsible for their own creation, and it starts at home. If you can't create well at home, you got to work on that, right? You can't go create professionally when at home you're dysfunctional. It's a performance, right? So again, to my families that are speaking to gods, keep up the great job, because we need to bring back the Gilgameshes. We need to bring back what gods look like. Because if we're made in the images of God and all we see is horrible people and celebrities, then we're not going to really see ourselves as gods. But if you listen to stories like the Epic of Gilgamesh or the Sumerian tablets, they say a lot, the 17 types of archons. You'll learn so much about the unseen world. And that's where it starts. You create your world through the unseen, through energetic first, right? And this is why you have to do a lot of shadow work. And then once you've not completely healed, because we're not completely healed, never, but once you healed enough to put out good vibration, it's done. You've earned it. Nobody can knock that down. You have connected to the gods. So look at it like this. Over the weekend, I have a lot of berries, right? I went nuts. I bought banana, orange, apple, all types of tree, peach, name it, nectarine. I have it all. Tangerine, clementine. Anyways, I'm gonna stop. I don't know. I'm super excited about my backyard. However, when it came to berries, I was scared, right? Berries are more fragile. You have birds that eat the berries. So I put the berries in pots. I was like, we're going to put those on the cement. We're going to grow under the sun, and I'm going to control the way the berries grow. But over the weekend, I noticed they're not growing because the pot is, even if you get like a 25-gallon pot, it doesn't matter. It's still going to grow up until a certain size. It's not going to grow to its fullest potential. So over the weekend, I took all my berries planted that I had put in large pots and put them all in ground. And already I can see in 2 days, they're already more vibrant. Why? Because the energy from the soil helps a lot. When you put it in a pot, you're putting it outside of the ground. It's outside of its home. So it's going to be limited. But why do we do this? Because of birds, because of moist. There's a lot of bacteria that comes in the fruits, so it's better if they're off ground, bugs, insects like that. You don't have to put pesticide. Anyways, it's just less maintenance if you put it in a pot. But again, the roots don't go inside the ground. It doesn't solidify. So why am I talking about this? Because this is a wonderful metaphor. The same thing with humans. Okay, the humans that are always scared of, let's say, doing something risky or don't want to get outside of their box, they're going to grow up until a certain level, just like the plant in a pot. You're going to be beautiful, you're going to be vibrant, but the size is going to be, the evolution is going to have a ceiling. When you put it on the ground, yes, now you have more risks. Now you have insects, worms that can eat you. Now you have access to animals and birds. Now everything is going to come at you because you're wide in the open. Also, now the roots have so many obstacles. They have to go underground. They have to find the water. They have to, However, after it takes 4 years. All right, now I'm gonna wait. I can eat berries, but I only eat 1 or 2. I gotta wait 2 to 4 years for these trees to become big and to give me unlimited fruits. So that's 3 to 4 years where it's going to grow to its fullest size and the roots are going to go deeper, deeper, deeper. So the deeper the roots, the higher the tree. This is the whole lesson, right? So the deeper the darkness, the brighter the light. The harder the life, the more forward the path. The less you fit in, the more you create. Right? So the more you have darkness shouldn't swallow anybody. I know people are like, oh, you've gone through so much darkness. Yes, I've gone through so much darkness. But why would I ever let darkness swallow me when I have the light? Right? No matter what, God's always there saying, I'm sorry this happened to you, but I'm here. You always have that feeling. Right? So I don't know. I would never understand how the darkness would swallow the light. The darkness swallows the light if you're spiraling, if you have momentum. So again, the deeper the roots of the plant, the higher the evolution. And humans are exactly the same way. Our roots have gone so deep with these reptilians, the archons, with the backstabbing, with the betrayal. Listen, when I was born, I didn't know this world was like this. I'm finding out more and more. But I'm happier more and more because now I have an obstacle, I have a challenge, and I can fix it. Everyone can fix it. Why? Because you don't let the darkness take over. And one last example before I leave. I loved, I love living where I live. I live in South Central. South Central LA has a lot of grocery stores, and they're like Mexican grocery stores. They're cheap, their fruits are good, the quality's great, everything's perfect, right? When Amazon came, I was like, oh my God, it's gonna be the Hunger Games. Yeah, I was like, yeah, the evil's gonna take over, they're gonna slash the prices. Listen, some prices are better on Amazon than groceries, you know? So I'm like, it's finished. It's finished. Amazon's gonna wipe everybody out. I had like a little moment of depression. And then a year later, I went to the groceries near my house and I couldn't believe it. Everyone had renovated. Everyone is now super upscale. Everything's clean, everything's organized. Why? Because Amazon came, instead of wiping the groceries out, which was the plan, right? That's what they wanted to do. No, the groceries are like, no, wait, we're not going to lose business. So they upgraded. They renovated, they upgraded, and every time I go to the groceries, it's full. Now you have commercials, Sprouts commercials online. You have all kinds of grocery commercials online. Why? Because they're not only surviving, they're thriving now. Why? Because Amazon came and they're like, no, no, they're not going to beat us. We're going to do better. So trust me when I tell you, physical authenticity and truth cannot be beat. It can only be copied or shadowed, but it cannot be beat. So thank you very much, and on to the next one. Wishing everyone a wonderful week. Ciao.